invitation, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to And I Quote, the weekly show where we introduce you to content creators of all shapes and sizes. Join us from any and all corners of the nerd universe. We find out more about them and find out what projects they have coming up soon. I am your host, Ryan of Nerd Culture, and our guest this week is writer extraordinaire. Please welcome Meghan Morrison. Meghan, welcome to the program. How are you?
Thank you. I'm pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Thank you so much for being with us. So to kick things off here, what would you say were some of your favorite books or writers growing up?
Oh my gosh. Well, I don't remember myself, but my mother claims that she brought me up reading me The Hobbit. So she kind of got me started off early on all things nerdy. And I honestly really didn't start reading until I was in college, and I got into anime and started reading fan fiction, and that got me to writing fan fiction. But as for favorites, I'll call out some authors. I just started rereading Mercedes Lackey books. Let's see, George R.R. Martin, of course. And honestly, R.A. Salvatore, I've read through the whole Drizzt series. Not the whole thing, 'cause that's like 19 books, 20, 25, I don't know how many. But it's a lot of books, and I tore through that pretty quickly. So, just your generic fantasy books. Sci-fi wise, Anne McCaffrey, not the Dragon Rider series, but her Rowan novels I actually liked a lot. But that's all I can think of kind of on the spot. So there you go.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's a vast array of different writers and a few different genres here in the mix. So there's no problem with that. Who or what inspired you to be a writer yourself?
The fan fiction. Like I said, I forget which show it even was. I think it was Dragon Ball Z, to be honest. I started watching it when I was in late high school, and I ended up reading through the volume summaries, and then being on the internet, of course, turned me on to reading fan fiction, and some of them were really good. So I started writing my own fan fiction, and just kind of reading, writing, going back and forth. I noticed that some of these people were, branching off into originals. So I tried to do that myself, and I kind of just stumbled into it. With this particular book, it was my first, and I was listening to music, and I said, I came up with in my head a lead character and a sidekick and a love interest. And I said, let me just start to write this down. And it just kind of kept coming. So I wasn't really inspired, I guess. Like I said, it was the fan fiction that kind of got me going. And then I realized, I think the biggest thing was when I started writing and I had a friend read it and she liked it and she kept wanting me to write more. And that's the real inspiration, I think, for any kind of creator is people, taking in your work and requesting more and being really enthusiastic about it. It kind of keeps your head in the game as well. So a mixture of my friends and my peers. So.
Okay. All right. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. You find support from any and all sides. There's no nothing wrong with that whatsoever. What would you say are some of the biggest rewards about being a writer?
To be honest, I would say looking back, like being able to go back and read your own work, that kind of, I guess, helps to inspire me as well. Like for me to read the original book that I wrote, I wrote it in 2008. I published it in 2008. But ever since then, I've been able to go back and kind of get caught up in it myself. And it's almost like I'm reading it for the first time, even though I wrote it. You know what I mean? It's kind of strange, but that's kind of the thing that keeps me going is, hey, if I can get into this time and time again, maybe it's not just me. Maybe I should give it another shot. And that's what I did this year. I polished it up. I gave it a re-edit or a rewrite and put it out the second edition. And I plan on doing that with the other couple of novels that I finished that I haven't really polished up per se. But yeah, it's between my friends, like I said, reading it and getting really into it and kind of bouncing ideas around and being able to go back and read something that I've written and it's engaging. And I'm kind of like, oh, did I write this? You know, it's kind of like you go outside your own head and you're like, I got to find out what happens next, even though I just wrote that, you know, several years ago. So that's kind of what it keeps me feeling like I accomplished something.
There you go. Cross the finish line. Once again, we're talking with writer Meghan Morrison. Make sure you're sharing this video with all 200 of your closest friends. They're going to like the way they look after watching this video. I guarantee it. Now, on the flip side of that, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges about being a writer?
I'm going through one right now. I kind of have to choose between, I haven't really put out anything new lately, other than kind of going back to my old work and polishing it and fixing it and trying to put it out there on places like Wattpad or even just snippets of it on Facebook here and there to get people interested. I try not to let myself read when I'm writing. So that kind of takes one of my hobbies out of the picture, because I don't want to be influenced by the stuff that I'm reading. I kind of want to stay in my own world, stay in that world in my head. And it helps, you know, to keep me on focus, on target. But that also, like I said, it restricts me from doing kind of the stuff that I like to do outside of my day job. So I kind of find that tough, and trying to get people to read it, trying to get it out there. The marketing aspect of it is really tough. I'm not really one to push something on people. I'm like, if you don't like it, don't worry about it. Try something else. But at the same time, that's what you have to do if you want to get your stories out there. You have to really push it out and do something like this, go on shows and talk about it and come up with your own kind of marketing campaigns. And it's kind of tough. The whole self-publishing market is tough. So that's some of my hurdles that I've recently kind of realized are there.
Oh, I can certainly understand that. Marketing yourself, doing all this stuff. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day, so it does. So it
No.
does take time to put out something, whether it's a book, whether it's something else, or, you know, depending on what your occupation is. It's a project, it's a novel, it's a comic book, it's a piece of artwork, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It does take time, and that actually segues, I should say, into our next question. This image here, perimeter red. This is it right here. So I'm curious. How did Perimeter Red all come about? And if you're standing in an elevator with an executive and you have to give something known as an elevator pitch, what would it be?
Well, okay, the elevator pitch, I'll tell you first and foremost, that is one of my biggest hurdles. It is so hard for me to come up with a synopsis or like a catchphrase or anything like that. It's really tough for me to do that. But through friends and through kind of like rolling the ball around back and forth with people, I've come up with things, especially in this climate, like there's a lot of resistance. There's a lot of damn the man. There's a lot of not really post-apoc, but it's kind of a bunch of people coming of age, coming together, getting to know each other and fighting the system and coming into their own. And it's relatable. And I think that each of the characters, there's a good list of characters in this book. And I think that their personalities are different enough that people can either see themselves or see their friends in these characters. And I think that plus the focus on the characters is really what helps people get caught up. You want to know what happens next. You want to know what happens to them next, and you're in their heads. And I think that's kind of an advantage that I have. I can kind of split myself into what would this character be thinking? What would that character be thinking? And kind of bring people into it. And as to how it came about, that's weird. Like I said, I was listening to music and I came up with this idea. Like, I just want this lead character and this crazy sidekick and this love interest. And I just kind of in my head, the way I write is I kind of see movie scenes. I'll come up with scenes that I think I'd like to see in a movie. And I kind of paint that picture in words on paper, and then I kind of go from there. I'll have a scene, and then I'll connect it to another one, and I'll go back and read it and edit it. But it kind of just falls out of my head. I don't know how else to say it. It just kind of goes from there, and I'm like, so like I said, sometimes I'm surprised at what comes out. The picture itself is of something called the Black Pillar that creates storms. I'm a weather nerd. I'm sure you know of when you read an author's books, you can always tell what their hobbies are because they're always woven in to the stories that they're writing. Mine is you'll see a lot of weather references, and there's some, I guess it's mainly the weather that I can think of right now, but there's there's little things involved. But essentially, that picture was a friend of mine, was a graphic artist on the side, and he put that together for me back in 2008. And to this day, I still love the way it looks because it's straight out of my head. That's what I think the black pillar would look like. So yeah.
There you go.
That's where that came about.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay. Absolutely. I can understand. I mean, heck, little quick side note here. I grew up watching the Weather Channel a lot. So every time they did the coverage of the weather, whether it was local, national, or whatever, or international, whatever the case may have been, I was fascinated by that stuff.
Yeah.
At one point,
my brother and I wanted to be storm chasers.
Yeah. I didn't. Well, personally, I wouldn't want to be that's too scary. That's like a horror film waiting to happen. But with me, I wanted to be a weatherman at one point because I was so fascinated by how they presented it and how it looked. You know, granted, they're working with a green screen, but when you're looking at them presenting it, it's almost like you're in a different universe with that board and you have the remote in your hand, you're using the clicker and all that stuff. And I'm thinking, I could do this for a living. It's not that hard, right? And then you realize,
and that fits in very well.
Yeah, and then you gotta take advanced math and science courses. I'm like, oh, two of my weaknesses. Sorry, not happening. Next question.
Yep, that's why I love sci-fi, because it's all entertainment. I don't need to know all the specifics because I couldn't go there either. Trust me. That's why I'm not a meteorologist. But it's definitely, I guess, an interest of mine. So, and you see that in the novel. You'll see that in the books that will definitely come out.
All right. I mean, I'm just curious. Do you still tune in to the Weather Channel every now and then to get some either ideas for a book or you're just watching it for the heck of it? You're thinking, I remember this meteorologist, when I was a kid, and they're still there. What are they still doing there? What's going on?
Jim Cantori.
Oh man, I mean, you probably have to carry that young man out in a body bag for him to quit being a storm reporter or a storm chaser. Because I know he loses his mind over anything weather related. He just loses.
Yeah.
Like, this is the best thing ever. Like he mentioned something about thunder snow.
Yep,
like
that's
many
a classic
years
video.
Ago. And I'm
that's
like
an internet meme now.
I'm like, is that
it's
real?
It's exciting though. Yes, it is real. I've experienced it, and it is very rare. So that's why he freaked out. The one that really freaks out though is a tornado chaser, but he's a storm chaser now, named not Reed Richards.
Wait a minute,
Reed Timmer.
I believe that's Fantastic Four.
Yes,
from Marvel
that's Mr.
Comics.
Fantastic. I do love the comics though, yeah. But it's Reed Timmer, I believe, is his name, and he's crazy.
Interesting.
But he's good at his job, so he's been around for a long time. But anyway, yeah, definitely the weather it fascinates me.
Fair enough. I haven't heard of this gentleman you just mentioned a moment ago, but yeah, weather is fascinating. The Reed, whoever it
Timmer.
was. Timmer, thank you. Reed Timmer, I'm not familiar with. Jim Cantori, I think many of us grew up watching him on TWC, which is the Weather Channel for those of us keeping track of the acronyms at home, because Lord knows there's a million acronyms on television. So beware, I'm just saying. But wow, that is okay. This is fascinating when you learn something about someone. You're thinking, hey, I thought I was one of the few people who only watched Your Weather Today with Marshall Cease and Heather Tesh. And I remember that like it were yesteryear.
I forget. We had our local guys. I don't know, in Maryland, it was Marty Bass, and he covered the weather a lot. I forget what the other ones are because I've moved to Jersey and PA since I grew up in Maryland. But yeah. You get some familiar faces, and Cantori has been around for ages, but that's what he does. That's his thing. So good on him. Yeah. I don't see him leaving that sort of profession anytime soon. Lord knows he's got the energy of a so-and-so youngish 13-year-old. I don't know who's counting, but listen. So you confused one person with another, and you mentioned Reed Richards from Fantastic Four. I'm just curious, what are some of your favorite comic books? Who are some of your favorite comic book characters? This is another thing. I didn't grow up on comics. I kind of just fell into it after I got into anime and manga. Sure. And then I ended up working for Diamond Comic Distributors for about 6 years in there. Yeah. Oh my. It was a nice job. I liked what I did, but the company itself, we'll just not go there. Anyway, the Silver Surfer is one of my favorites. Honestly, out of the Fantastic Four, Johnny Storm is my favorite. Let me think. I actually there was a smaller comic book company, Aspen MLT, Michael Turner. He put out Soulfire, and I can't get the other name. Anyway, I was lucky enough to meet him and get a signature on one of my books before he passed. So that was really cool. And that's one of my favorites at this point. The graphic novels that they've come out with, I know they have Anita Blake. They have the Drizzt graphic novels out now. It was easy when you're in Diamond to just kind of like, you know, you're getting free comics once a week. They kind of give them out to the store owners and the people who are working corporate. Mm-hmm. So there were a couple of ones that I would never have picked up otherwise. But it's funny because they're coming out in movies now. Like Ant-Man I read that back in the day too. And that was just like, whoa, it's definitely different in the movie than it was on the comic book, but I got a big kick out of that. I don't know. There's a bunch. It's been a while too, because I've been at my current job for 10 years. So It's been a while since I worked at Diamond, but it definitely introduced me to a lot of different series that I wouldn't have otherwise given a chance because I was so into manga and anime. I was kind of stuck in that section of the library, as it were.
Yeah. Absolutely. Once again, we're talking with the incredible Meghan Morrison. Make sure you're sharing this video with all 300 of your closest friends because they're going to like the way they look after watching this video. I guarantee it. So, speaking of Fantastic Four, have you read any of Jack Kirby's work on the Fantastic Four or other Marvel? I mean, he did a lot for Marvel and DC during his time. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just curious. Have you read anything by Jack Kirby?
I can't think off the top of my head. I can't think of anything else. Honestly, my memory is shot when it comes to names, but if you name off some titles, I could tell you if I've read them before. Okay,
well, granted, a lot of writers have written for some of the same characters within, whether it's Marvel, DC, Boom, Image.
Same thing with the artists. You'll get different artists on the cover, and you'll get different artists in the book. So
there's a lot of different There's a lot of different creative teams, is what I'm trying to get at. So I guess we can. I guess you have to think on that for a minute, and then you can get back to us. That's fine. That's okay. Any special memories for you from being at conventions, whether you're there as a vendor selling your book or whether you're there as an attendee?
Like I said, I was just out of high school when I started getting into anime and writing and the manga and everything. And I actually met a group of 2 or 3 people in college that were in Japanese class with me. Mm-hmm. And they were actually going to Otakon that year. I think it was 2000. And we essentially ended up going and we met more people. And I ended up with a group of like 10, 15 friends. And we went to 5 or 6 conventions a year. We ended up doing cosplays. We ended up doing performances with like silks flags from band, because some of us were in band when we were in high school. It was, I think I did that for about 10 years, and that was like the entirety of my 20s, and it was the time of my life. So I definitely kind of, and that was around the time when I was, like I said, I published Permanent Red in 2008. So I want to say it took me a couple of years to write it out. So it was all just mixed in that time for me. And it was the support from friends, dressing up, going to conventions, meeting up for picnics because we don't all live in the same area. It was life-changing for me after high school and after college, really, because I kind of stopped going. I think my last Otakon was 2010, 2011, I forget. But yeah, and that's when I started going to Shore Leave.
Shore Leave. I wonder what that may be. Just out of curiosity, for someone who may not be familiar with Shore Leave, what exactly is that, and what is your role with them?
Honestly, I kind of came to Shore Leave as somebody who was, I think I came in as a panelist the first year. My mother worked she worked staff as a volunteer.
Sure.
And she was really into Star Trek growing up. I had seen it on and off, but I wasn't as into it because, again, I was into the anime and stuff. So she said, you go to all these conventions every year. You should come to this one and, do this or that. They're looking for more younger people. So I started going. And to me, having been to, we went to big cons and little cons alike, but it was a little bit different than the anime conventions I had been to. But I eventually started volunteering myself. And I think it was this year was the first year she's not in it anymore. It used to be kind of a mom-daughter thing every year. But I don't know. I stopped going to anime cons ages ago, but it's still, Shore Leave is the one convention I go to every year, and I get the biggest kick out of, I work most of it, but I have fun. It's nice to kind of, even though you're back behind a desk working, it's nice to see it happening and to be behind the scenes. It's an awesome experience. I think the one time I actually sat down at a booth to try to sell this book was at maybe my 2012, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Surely 2012. Yeah, I had a booth and I was selling my book. And again, it was a different experience, but I loved every second of it. You meet very interesting people, both in front of and behind the curtain, as they say. And it's still very homey because it's a smaller convention. You know, you feel like it's just around the corner from your house. You're hanging out and hey, there's George Takei. It's a neat experience.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. Hey, look, there's Brent Spiner. Oh, what?
Yeah.
Well, what about Gates McFadden? She's here.
Yep.
Yes, she is. She's in aisle 3. There you go.
I think the year that I was selling the book too, that I had the booth in the dealer's room, Jason Momoa came in and he was just walking around the dealer's room. My friend who's selling the book with me was like chasing him around to find out what he was doing. He was buying earrings for his wife. So,
oh my goodness,
that was awesome.
Aquaman himself.
Just a shore-leave experience.
Mm.
That's why I keep going back. It's just really neat.
Goodness gracious. Now, Shore Leave is going to be in person this summer in the month of July, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it is. Hopefully. I don't want to say yes right now because the past couple of years have been something else, but we are planning to hold it in person in July. Yes.
Because of the whole Sharona Miley Cyrus thing. Yeah, that situation's been nuts. Yeah, I believe it's July, I want to say the 15th through the 17th of this summer.
Yes.
And it's going to be in Hunt Valley, Maryland. For those of you who are wondering, I believe it's what you go to shore-leave.com for more information.
Correct.
There you go.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, keep your fingers crossed because being in person and seeing the, hundreds, if not, 1,500 people, it'll be nice to be human again.
Yeah.
So let's keep the fingers crossed.
And cautious, but in person and having that con experience that has been so, I guess, removed these past couple of years.
Well, let's hope we can all gather together as one big, happy, nerdish family. That would be a blast. If you want more information, go to the website, check out what's going on. They got a great lineup of guests. It's incredible. I mean, you got Gates McFadden is going to be there. Brandon Routh is supposed to be in attendance. You have Dennis Lawson, freaking Wedge Antilles, for Pete's sake. I mean, Eddie McClintock, one of the coolest dudes from Warehouse 13. He's going to be in the house too. So, granted, I'm just raffling off just a few.
There's a bunch, and there's more that they still haven't announced yet.
That's true.
So it's Barbara Luna's going to be there.
Goodness gracious!
That's old school to the core.
Seriously. If you want more information, check out your local cons because there's a lot of things happening in and around perhaps your area. But here in Maryland, where some of us in this studio may be in that state, but it should be fun. So please check shoreleave.com for more information on that. It's going to be a blast, I'm sure, especially if it's in person. You get to see your whole family again. That's going to be a blast. I'm just saying. Oh, goodness gracious. But what advice would you give to aspiring writers out there? What do you think?
I would say just write. And I know a lot of people say that and it sounds silly, but it's the truth. Don't think about how long it has to be or grammar or any kind of trappings, I guess, or specifics that you have to follow, guidelines, whatever. Just write. Just put the story down on paper. And even after just the chapter, even after just that first page, that first paragraph, you're going to feel, I'm sure as a creator, any creator, artists, etc., they understand that feeling where you're actually putting something out there and there's a feeling of relief. There's a feeling of joy. It's just kind of, I think it's an artist thing. It's when you create and when you're able to get it out there, it's like a breath of fresh air, I guess you could say. It feels good. And I think once you start that and you feel that and you understand it, you're self-aware, you'll be able to continue on and just write it out. Just write it, see the story in your head and get it down on paper, get it down on your computer. And then show it to somebody, see if they're interested, see what they think, and go from there. I think the hardest part about trying to get yourself to create, whether it be writing or drawing or whatever, is yourself. You have to kind of get past that wall. Like, oh, where should I start? What about this? What if it doesn't sound good? There's no what ifs. It's art. Just do it. Just follow your own soul, your own heart, your own mind. It's art. Go to the Modern Art Museum and look at that stuff and say, if they can do that, you can do whatever you want to do, whatever makes you feel good. And if you're having trouble coming up with something, my trick is you sit down and you listen to music. And you just come up with scenes in your head and just let the music take you and, think about what your characters would do. Just silly stuff like that. That's what helps me.
No, that's fair. And did you hear that, friends? Thank you for sharing that with us. Now, just out of curiosity, what songs would you play on your mixtape to help you get going with your writing, or just to get you in the... First, we got to set the mood. See, our good friend Sebastian would tell us that. So what are some of the songs that are on your mixtape? What are some pieces of music that get you the style and profile and write that next great American novel? What do you think?
Honestly, it's just like my music taste, which is all over the board. The biggest thing... the biggest thing is movie soundtracks. Epic movie soundtracks. Because if it's something like Lord of the Rings, you're gonna know a lot of the songs, but not all of them. And I don't know, stuff like Braveheart, just some of those old epic classic movies. If you just sit down and listen to the soundtracks, just the classical background music, that's the kind of stuff that you can get your mind kind of focused on, setting a scene and going with it. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, I don't know, hard rap music, like they're at a party, so-and-so is going to hype up the crowd, whatever, just stuff to kind of get your imagination going. That's what always helps me. And honestly, it helps me even when I'm not trying to write, when I'm just kind of in a funk and I don't feel like watching that same show that I've been watching for the past few days or whatever the case may be. The book I'm reading isn't, it's just not doing it. So just put your headphones on, sit down and listen to music.
Nothing wrong with a little John Williams here and there, I assume.
Exactly.
John Williams is the cream that rises to the top. He's the cream of the crop. I don't think anyone would disagree with me on that. And if you do, that's fine, because you like the music that you like. If you like a Hans Zimmer, like a Hans Zimmer. You like Howard Shore, like Howard Shore. You like James Newton Howard, Newton Howard, go ahead. Nothing wrong. There are plenty of composers who have put together some great. Ooh,
the first Transformers soundtrack was another one that was really... I
don't hear that answer very often, so I'm a little. You know what? This is the beauty of this program, because it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, and there's nothing wrong with a Transformers score or maybe a soundtrack. Of course, Linkin Park.
Yep.
Linkin Park did a lot of the themes for the original movies, so there's really nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but also the classical, the background, it's really well done. The scene where they're flying the plane over the desert, I think that's one of my favorite soundtrack songs. It's the first movie. The rest of the movies I don't think I've seen. The second movie I wasn't a fan of. It kind of slowly crept up on me. Yeah, let's just not. Anyway,
it had a few issues. It had a few issues, but for me, listen, I like the original. I like the 2007 film, and I actually did like Transformers Part 3, Dark of the Moon, because that made up for the lackluster that was Part 2, at least in my eyes. I know you may think differently, and that's fine.
I have not seen it, so I won't comment.
No, it's fine. But Dark of the Moon, you may want to give it a shake. If you give it a try, that's fine. And then also Bumblebee.
What?
The spin-off movie, the reboot / one-off film, Bumblebee, with I'm trying to think of her name. The one from The Edge of 17. She was just in Hawkeye. Why am I blanking on this person's name?
Oh my gosh,
this is going to kill me. I know.
We'll Google it really quick.
I can't do that.
Okay.
But the person I'm thinking of, she was recently in the Hawkeye series. She was in The Edge of 17. She was in the Pitch Perfect franchise. This is going to kill me. So what I'm trying to tell you is Haley Steinfeld.
Give it a shot.
I got it. Haley Steinfeld. Haley Steinfeld. Great actress. Wonderful actress. She's got a great future in this business.
Hawkeye.
She was recently in Hawkeye as Kate Bishop.
Yeah.
That's the character she played.
Huh.
So if you see the movie Bumblebee, which was a reboot, rehash of it basically takes place before the original 2007 film, because it takes place in the 1980s.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So if you're curious,
I vaguely recall that.
You should give Bumblebee a chance because listen, I went into that film thinking this is going to be awful because the last night I never saw it because it looked like garbage from the trailer.
Yes.
Transformers Age of Extinction, as I call it, was garbage. And I said to myself, I'm done with this franchise. It's done. It's jumped the shark for me. No more. And then Bumblebee came out. And people were telling me, oh, you got to see this. You got to see it. And I thought to myself, I don't think so. I'm done. I've had enough. And then years and years later, I went on something known as a Target run. I don't know if anyone's familiar with this. You tend to go in there for 12 items. You walk out with 50. So I went into Target and I found Bumblebee on sale for like $10. And I figured, you know what? People have said this movie is great. I'm going to give it a chance. I popped it in, watched it. 2 hours later, I said, that was way better than I thought it was going to be. Way better. It was a very pleasant surprise. Let me just put it to you that way. So if you're looking for something to watch, it's sci-fi, it's adventure, takes you back to the 80s because Transformers did first appear in the 1980s, which a lot of people say was a great decade. And I'm inclined to agree because you want to talk about movie soundtracks. The 80s films were chock full of great, epic sound. And I'm not just talking about scores. I'm talking about soundtracks. You want a great soundtrack? Look at The Breakfast Club. You want a great soundtrack? Look at The Goonies. You want another great soundtrack? Look at the synthesizer that Brad Fiedel used in 1984's The Terminator. Okay? That is epic, great piece of music. Okay. Sorry, I don't mean to go off on a bit of a tangent. But the 80s are great, and I'm sticking to it. So those are my pieces of advice for you if you are watching or if you're listening to this. And for you, Megan, if you want to give Bumblebee a shake or Transformers Dark of the Moon a bit of a chance, that's fine. I think you enjoy Bumblebee more so than Dark of the Moon. But that's just me.
I'll give it a shot. I will. You have turned around my my vision of completely giving up after the first movie, so we'll see.
We try to do wonderful things here on And I Quote on this program. I'm just saying, but even so, gosh almighty. But even so, focusing on some of the things that are going on around today, what would you say are some of your favorite writers who are out there today? Some of the present modern day writers. Do you have any favorite names that stick out to you?
I do not. I've spent the last year or so fixing up Perimeter Red, and then I spent the year after that doing the audiobook, which was another interesting thing that I threw myself into. Rob Thurman is a newer author. I mean, this again, it's ages ago that I read any of her work because her name's Robin, but she goes by Rob Thurman. She has a bunch of books that I got a kick out of. I like it's definitely a different style. It's a different feel to the narration, but it's dark, but it's good. So yeah, that's the only thing I could think of offhand though. Cause like I said, I really restrict myself from reading when I'm trying to work on my own projects, which is probably not for the best, but I try not to let anything influence what I'm doing. My friend just sent me another book too. I don't know if I should just go off of her recommendations, but I don't know.
If you can't trust your friends, who can you trust? Yeah,
exactly. But no, I do a lot of rereading. I'll tell you that much. It's stuff that I have on my Kindle and I'm like, I haven't read it in, 5-6 years. I'm going to read it again because my memory is so shot that I will be surprised at the book that I've read 2, 3, 4, 5 times already, but it works. I like it. I save money.
Save money, live better. Just read the same 50 books that you already have on your bookshelves. That's fine. There's nothing wrong. Listen, there's nothing wrong.
Or write your own.
Yeah. Whether it's your own book or someone else's book, because there's lots of them out there, and there's a lot of great writers out there too. For instance, we brought up Shore Leave a little while ago. The crew over there at Crazy 8 Press. They're great writers there, and they're going to be present at Shore Leave later on this year in the month of July of 2022 in Hunt Valley, Maryland. For more information, go to shoreleave.com.
Shore-leave.com.
Yes, of course. I'm just saying, # always promote your friends. Crazy 8 Press has got a great crew over there. So if you're interested in some of their stuff, make sure you look them up at crazy8press.com. Great bunch of writers over there. And you may see a few familiar faces from the Crazy 8 Press crew on this very program in the near future. You never know. See what I did there? Excellent. So I'm just throwing that out there as a for instance. You see what I mean? But even so, you know me, I digress. Once again, we're talking with the incredible writer known as Meghan Morrison. Make sure you're sharing this video with all 500
500.
Exactly. It's a great number. All 500 of your friends. You know why? Because they're going to like the way they look after watching this video and subscribing to this YouTube channel. I guarantee it. Well, we got a little something special in store for you here, Megan. Now, this episode of And I Quote and every episode of And I Quote is indeed powered by our good friends over there at Poddex. Now, Poddex are the hottest new tool for podcasters looking to have more meaningful conversations or to just gamify their podcast. You simply shuffle up the cards, you ask a question, you let the content roll. Go to poddex.com today and make sure you use the promo code NERDCULTURE to get 10% off your order. It's good for podcasting as well as a game with your friends, your family, your coworkers, sitting around the water cooler, if people still stand around water coolers these days. I know I'm dating myself with the 1990s reference, but listen, there's nothing wrong with the reference here and there. So, Megan, first things first, what's the first impression that you want to give people? Could be anything.
I like making people laugh. I have a weird sense of humor, so I don't know whether it's telling stories or just being silly, but I like people that I can laugh with. I'm normal. I'm a down-to-earth person. I think I try and I think I do very well at getting along with people. Just having worked with different people throughout my life and my jobs and people who come up to the table at shore leave, like you get all sorts of faces and all different types. And I think I'm good at adapting. So hopefully it's just, hey, that's a nice friendly girl. That's what I would like to hear.
There you go. There you go. Nothing wrong with that. And the best thing about shore leave is that it's full of characters.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of character and characters.
Literally and figuratively.
Yes, literally and figuratively at your local convention. So make sure you check those out. And make sure you check your local listings in your area if you're looking to go to a convention too. Because yes, there are big cons out there, but some of the medium-sized ones and the local ones, you know, the smaller ones, they deserve some support as well. So make sure you check your local listings, I should say, just to be clear. But if you had to lose one of your 5 senses, which one would you give up, Megan?
Oh my God. Let's see. Hearing, no, because I need to hear music. Sight, no, because I'm really into art and seeing the weather. So that's no. Smelling, I don't think so, because I saved my neighbor when I smelled leaking gas coming out of her house.
Oh my gosh.
So I'll leave. I have a good nose, unfortunately. And I guess that leaves, touch?
Taste?
Taste. I guess I could do without that. Although I've heard some really bad horror stories about people who have had COVID and lose taste, and it's kind of mentally draining. So I don't know. That's very hard because I'm always, you see people who are blind, deaf, you know, the first thing I do is be thankful that I have all of my senses. So that's a very hard question. I guess I would have to sacrifice taste over the other ones.
That's fair. That's fair. Nothing wrong with that. What was the most memorable class you've ever taken in school or college?
I would have to say band. Middle school was rough. Middle school is rough for everybody, but middle school was rough for me.
It's a jungle out there.
Yeah, it really is. I
would agree.
It's crazy, but you find a lot of camaraderie in band. And then when I got to high school, I had already been through 2 weeks or 1 week of camp. So I kind of knew the lay of the land, and it made high school a breeze. And even in college, I was in the symphony there for a little while.
Oh, wow.
But I play bass clarinet.
Bass clarinet. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But college, I would say anthropology, I believe. And you know what the thing is? It's the teacher. I had a lot of different teachers over the years. And if your teacher knows and loves the subject they're teaching, and especially if they do it in different ways other than talking at you, if they're drawing pictures, if they're bringing in different types of media, because people learn in different ways. They learn visually, they learn, through audio. It's the teachers really make the biggest difference. And for me, it was that anthropology course because it was really interesting. And it was the way she put it together for us. So there you go.
No, great answer. Great answer. And I would agree. Like if someone in a profession acts enthusiastic and they're sharing that enthusiasm with somebody else, they will be enthusiastic.
Yeah. They're going to try to get you to love it. Yeah, as much as you love it, or as much as they love it.
Right. Yeah. It depends on the person, depends on the situation. I understand that. So
Yeah.
no worries there. What are you superstitious about? Anything stand out to you?
Not black cats. I love black cats. Everyone should love black cats. Cats
you
are awesome.
So does that mean you're in the Jinx fan club from the Hocus Pocus film?
Absolutely.
Because he was a black cat.
Cats. Yeah. I love cats. That's a thing of mine. But superstition wise, I do the salt thing. If I knock the salt over, I throw salt over my left shoulder.
Oh, you pulled a Jim Carrey.
Is it?
Because he says it to Harry. He says it in the movie. Toss some salt over your right shoulder. Because he spilled the salt.
It's left. I thought it was left. Well, I've been doing it wrong all these years.
Well, then again, the name of the film is Dumb and Dumber, so maybe it was meant to. But he said because what happened was Harry accidentally spilled some salt on the table where they were, and he says, "What's wrong with you? You spilled the salt. That's what's the matter. Spilling the salt is very bad luck. Driving across the country, the last thing we need is bad luck. Quick, toss some salt over your right shoulder." And then he throws it, and then it accidentally hits somebody, and then that starts an altercation.
Yeah. See, slapstick isn't my biggest thing. I've seen Dumb and Dumber, but I don't recall because I don't really let that stuff stick in my head. I just feel bad for the people who are getting hurt, and it's just not as funny to me. I don't know. But yeah, the salt thing is the only thing I could think of for superstitions right now.
That is,
I think.
God.
What?
It's okay. No, it's fine. I thought it was left or right. Listen, right shoulder, left shoulder. I keep forgetting which one it is. But yeah, he says toss some salt over your right shoulder. And listen, if you're superstitious about it, it's fine.
Yeah.
Listen, if you want to pull a Sam and Dean Winchester from Supernatural, just put some salt around you.
In a circle.
In the circle to push away the ghosts. Or the evil spirits that are trying to attack you. I saw it in a few episodes of Supernatural. I don't know if you're familiar with it at all. But
yes. I've watched
Okay, so you've seen Supernatural.
Yes.
All 15 million seasons of it, or just the first 5?
My mother actually got hooked on it and was bugging me. So this past year, I actually started marathoning it, and I think I got to season 9.
Wow!
So I've seen a good chunk of it, but not the whole thing.
Not all of it. In the words of our good friend Owen Wilson, wow.
Yeah.
So you're this close to finishing it. No, I'm kidding. You still got
yes,
because it lasted. It lasted for 15 years.
Yeah,
which
is
ridiculous.
A good run.
It's ridiculous.
Good for them. And it's more TV for me, so I'll take it.
More power to you. I will leave that up to you. Now, what would you say? What is the most important thing to carry with you all the time?
Nowadays, it's your cell phone because your entire life is connected to that thing. It is. But for me, I carry chapstick everywhere because I'm one of those people that needs to have chapstick. I have like a purse chapstick and a pants pocket chapstick, car chapstick, desk chapstick. That's mine.
There's one for every space.
Yeah. I know I'm not the only one, but I know it is kind of a weird habit.
No, listen, it's fine. Whatever helps, whatever's most comfortable for you. If you put it in certain spots in your home or your office or your car, that's fine. We can just...
They're backups.
Exactly. Yeah, you have a backup for the backup of the backup, and then you have a plan B over here, and then you have a plan C over here. You see what I mean? It's just one of those things. Well, we want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Meghan Morrison for being our guest on this episode of And I Quote. Meghan, where can the person watching or listening to this find you online and everything you have coming up? What do you got?
The biggest website I would like to promote is perimeterred.com, all one word. That is where you will find all the information about the book. I can confirm the second book is done. It's bigger, and I will be working on that to have it put out officially probably within the next year. And I have another book that I'm going to be trying to put out that's a little bit different called Daughter of Tarragon. And that's kind of more fantasy than it is sci-fi, but I've gotten some pretty good reviews of people who weren't as into Perimeter Red. They really got a kick out of Daughter of Tarragon. So that's got elves and all sorts of fun stuff in it. So keep an eye out for that. I'm sure I will at least link to it off of perimeterred.com. And then I also have mwmorrison.com. And that's just my author website that's probably just a little bare, but it'll give you the information you need if you're interested.
There you go. And links to where you can find all that stuff is located within the description of this video. So make sure you check that out. A moment ago, I think I saw one of your fur babies trying to make an appearance there, but that's okay. They might be a little
sleeping.
Busy. Yeah,
he's sleeping. Right? I don't want to put him on camera just for the aspect, but he's one of my little feral rescues. I love cats.
You like cats? Really? We couldn't tell. I'm just kidding. No, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You love what you love, and that's all we can count on here. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Ryan of Nerd Culture. Thank you for having me. Yeah, thank you for being with us. My name is Ryan of Nerd Culture. You can find us on all forms of social media simply at It's Nerd Culture. New videos are being posted on our YouTube channel each and every week. And I quote drops on Saturdays at 12 p.m. EST. We want to thank our sponsor, Powered by Poddex. We also want to thank our newest sponsor. Now, if you're looking for some killer swag, look no further. Look up theradbear.com. They got t-shirts, hoodies, all kinds of nerd swag from your favorite fandoms, including Power Rangers, The Never-Ending Story. That's right. Ooh. The 80s, baby. The Never-Ending Story. You got Star Wars. All kinds of stuff is on there. So use the promo code NERDCULTURE10, all one word, NERDCULTURE10 for 10% off your order. You're not going to want to miss it. Our good friends over there at theradbear.com. Anything and everything is there. T-shirts, hoodies, the works. The works.
That looks awesome.
It is, isn't it? They also have a bunch of anime shirts and anime properties on the website. Right. So I hear you like anime. So if you want to check it out, please feel free to do so, because you are more than welcome to get yourself some nerd swag. In the words of a popular sitcom that aired eons ago, treat yourself.
Yes, I love Parks and Rec.
Seriously, just treat yourself to some killer. Exactly. To some killer, good looking. What am I trying to say here? Good looking stuff. Thank you so much for being with us. Don't forget, stay healthy, stay strong, stay safe, and life is better when reading. Take a look.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics. Author Cindy Kep is writing on the edge. Books include Remnant in the Stars, The Loudest Actions, Lines of Succession, Mindstorm, Condemned Courier, the Yerushalayim series, and Animal Eye. Find author Cindy Kep at CKOEPP.com today.